scheduling for November and December. We've got some extra charters on to Flinders Island. So I'm just making sure we're actually going to have pilots and aeroplanes available to do that, which looks like we will, so that's good. If I don't look at it now, if I just leave it until a week old, then I'll suddenly realise that everyone's on leave and all the aeroplanes are in maintenance and it won't work.
Thanks, Carl.
Right, so welcome to Avion flight training, everybody. My name is Carl and I'm the chief pilot here. So we're going to go and have a good look around the flying school and look at the flight training operations, but I also just want to let you know about the other sides of the business that we are involved in. Have any of you ever been on a scenic tour with us or a flight down to the southwest at all?
No.
Not yet? No? Okay, so you can see these pictures up here on the wall. That's the Bathurst Harbour area, which is located way down here in the Southwest National Park. So you're from Hobart?
Yeah.
Live in Hobart? Yeah. So a lot of Tasmanians from all areas haven't seen this area yet, but this is a place that we fly to most days of the week. And our main product is a scenic tour, where we fly down the channel here. Basically, we follow the coastline around the southernmost tip of Tasmania, and then we fly up into our airstrip at Melaleuca, which is where you can see those pictures there. And then we come back on a direct track. We spend a day down there. We've got some boats, so we show people all around that harbour and a big area of the national park there. So we do those trips in the aeroplane that's out here with the red tail. We've got one of those and a couple of other six-seaters that we use for that. And then we also fly to the east coast, so we do trips up over Warrnambool, Spain, down to Mara Island, have a picnic on Mara Island. And then we also do trips across to Strawn for people to do the Gordon River cruise. We have a regular airline service that goes between Launceston and Cape Barren Island every Tuesday and Thursday. And we were doing the Strawn trips as a regular service Monday, Wednesday and Friday prior to March, and we're hoping to restart that again once we get some more interstate visitors later this year. And then we can do charter flights to anywhere, so we do often fly to King Island, Flinders Island, or anywhere that people want to go in Tasmania really. So I like giving you that insight because one of the benefits of doing the flight training with Avion is that we're not just a flying school. So we love flight training, we do a lot of flight training, but we also do scenic tours, charter flights, aerial survey, low-level operations. So it means that the flight instructors and pilots you'll be flying with have got experience experience in the commercial side of things that you one day want to go and do. So it really adds value to your training. And also, when we have spare seats on our tours and airline services, we take students along so they can see what it's like to give a passenger safety briefing and check passengers in and deal with loading the aeroplane, refueling, all the behind the scenes stuff that you don't really get hands-on experience of doing at a flying school is not also on here. That's about 800 metres long. So yeah, so we've got aeroplanes and pilots who are specifically capable and trained for that operation, which I think is something that's handy to see.
They're booking a tip anyway, which is fine. Yep. Cool.
You can all hop in if you like. If you want to take.
Oh, look, surely.
Adam, you can take the co-pilot seat. Mum, you can hop in the jump seat there.
What's the 737?
Or else you've got to make the sound effects.
I can do that.
It's bigger than the Mazda. A few more instruments.
So this simulator here was something that Shannon, the managing director, built with some of his friends, more of as a hobby. And we used to have this sort of as a fun experience that people could come and fly a jet simulator. We don't actually use this in our training here because we don't train jet pilots as such. But Shannon's sort of working on maybe us doing a multi-crew coordination course, which is something that you need to fly for an airline. So that's looking at how to work with other crew members, because everything we do here is single pilot operations, really. So yeah, there's specific training you have to do to operate in a crew with more than one. So we might be able to set up some courses doing that. But yeah, it's a good little.
So how accurate is this?
Oh, really? Like the flight management system, those computers there in front of your knees, are set up just the same as the one on a jet, and they can do all the stuff that a jet can do. So yeah, very accurate. It doesn't have motion.
No.
That's what an airline's actual sim would have. That costs a lot more, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Otherwise, you look at all those overhead panels. That's the same as a Virgin 737.
No way.
All those switches. Yep. So if you have any of them in the wrong spot, you won't be able to start the engine, and etc. etc.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all based on real airline procedures. So. Big job to set it up. That I have not had experience in.
It's amazing.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Even little
Cool.
GoPro.
So I might take you through and show you our the simulators that we do.
Good stuff.
So imagine that's what I think. I like the kind of fun we do it. So we've got one of these multi-engine training simulators in here, so you can see that's actually got really good graphics on it set up at the moment. And we use this to train people that are going to fly multi-engine aeroplanes that we have here. So I'll show you those later on, but that's what we call instrument training. So it means that you can fly, if you imagine that screen that's just white, you're inside a cloud, you're flying with reference to all the instruments down here.
Oh,
so you can see which way you're going and where you are based on the instruments. So that's a very specific set of training that you need to do, which we can do in the simulator, and I'll show you which planes that is outside. Then we've got another one in here, which is similar to that, but just a bit more basic. So again, it's still set up for simulators.
It's a model of one of our aircraft, which is the Multi, a multi-engine trainer. So we also use it for that in people who go on to a short range, which if you're going to go into a commercial pilot license, is something you might choose to do.
The day of the life of a student on our full-time course. You'll spend about 3 half days in here receiving theory briefings, because of course there's a lot of theory to go along with the flight training. So about 3 half days with an instructor, sort of a classroom environment, working through all the subjects that we need to cover so you can pass your theory exams before you get your license. And then you'll do usually 3 flights a week, 3 or 4 flights a week, obviously depending on the weather and what part of the course you're up to. But yeah, every day you'll have either a theory lesson or a flight, and then in between times you'll be doing your own self-study and preparation for your flights, a bit of simulator training, and then some work experience around here to achieve the minimum command hours you need for your commercial license. So you do about 70 hours of flying on your own, and with other people on your course, trips all around Tasmania and to the mainland. if the borders are open, of course. And so when you're doing those flights, you might have a problem with the plane or a question for an engineer. You can go and chat to our engineers, and they'll come and speak to you in the class and pass on good information. But then also you can spend half a day in there with them, swinging the spanners and pulling things apart, putting them back together, which is really good experience. And it helps you to have a bit of sympathy for the machines and understand what's going on. And then if you go to an employer, potential employer, and in your interview they find out that you know actually how to change the oil and oil filter on an airplane, they go, oh, we don't get this, pilots don't know how to do this stuff, but here we do. We really want to know, and it certainly makes you a better pilot if you can understand your airplane and know your airplane really well. So I might go through this way. This is our operations room. So this is where you have your lunch break and do some. We've got 6 types of airplanes. During your initial training phase to get your commercial pilot's license, you'll be flying 2 of those, which we'll go and have a look at in a moment. So that's a Cessna 172 and a Cessna 206. They're both single-engine airplanes. One's a 4-seater and one's a 6-seater. Then, if you decide you want to move into multi-engine training to get your multi-engine rating and your instrument rating, which would then set you up to fly on an airline type service or a charter flight service, we've got the Beechcraft Duchess that we use for that. We have 3 of those, and then we've also got for our sort of operation, our charter and airline side of the business, we've got British Northern Islanders, Papa Navos, and Cessna Titans, which again I'll show you through today. So those 3 are used pretty widely across Australia for companies like ours that are doing charter flights, freight flights. So you've got the opportunity to add some value to your training towards the end of your training, to get a few hours on those, to again make you more employable. And actually at the moment, the Piper Navajo that's out there that I'll show you, we're using 5 days a week to fly to Melbourne on a freight service to bring some medical equipment in, which is just an opportunity that came up when the pandemic began. And so we're using that service to actually train the students. We separately give them the training they need to learn how to fly that airplane. Then on that service, they're able to operate as the pilot in command under the supervision of one of us, which they'd never normally get. So if they do 20 hours flying Piper Navajo, again, it's going to make them much more employable for a chief pilot of a company to say, oh wow, you've got 20 hours, you've completed your training, your multi-engine training, you've got 20 hours flying Navajo across Bass Strait in the dark. That's good. If you can do that, you know how to do that, we can use you for a range of things. So we try to really find opportunities to get students involved in the flying we're doing, help them do what they want to do. That's what it's all about, really. That's why I like being involved in flight training, is because I remember what it was like for me, and I can see you coming through, and whatever your goals are, I want you to achieve, and then off you go, and you'll call me 5 years later and say, oh, I'm a captain here or there, or one day I'll join Qantas and you'll be my captain, and I'll say, oh, I hope you're really there. I'm nice to you once. How we use the controls, how we actually steer the airplane, how everything works, and then we get to the phase of teaching you how to take off and how to land. Once you're really getting good at that, and you can deal with a few abnormal situations, then it's time for us to hop out and let you go flying on your own. So that can happen only after about 8 to 10 hours of flying. It just depends. It's competency-based training, so it depends on how you're progressing. But yeah, for most people, it's around the 10-hour mark. So have you been up in anything like this before?
I've been in that one over there.
Oh, good. So you went for a TIFF?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Excellent. How long ago was that? Yeah. Oh yeah, good. For what it's like. And how did you find that? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, really good.
That's good. You're back here, so you must have had a good time. Most people do. So yeah, this is what you would start out on. You can see we've got it set up for dual training with 2 controls in. So we're right there, demonstrating to you how to do it, then you have a go, and we move on to the next sequence, and we basically carry that all the way through till you get your private license. Once you've got your private license, then we say, all right, you need to do about 30 hours of flying in this. So you would do trips on your own or with your family. You can take your family, friends, your classmates. Yeah, on your own, yeah. And once you get to it, it's quite simple to understand and use, but it's just one extra thing to do. And the speed of this airplane makes it a little bit more complex to operate. So yeah, you have to operate something like this to get a commercial license. So you'll do about 30 hours of flying in one of these. And you can see it's got 6 seats. So we use these most days to fly people down to the Southwest National Park. It's one of the two types of aeroplanes that we can land down there. Because it's got a nice big wing, it can land, it can approach and land at a very slow speed and stop very quickly. So it's great for landing and taking off on the short runway.
So this is on the 400-metre runway.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one and the one that we can see out there with the red tail that we'll have a look at later on.
Yep.
Control the richness of the fuel mixture. So this blue one is the one that controls the angle of the propeller blade. So that means that we can operate the propeller at a constant RPM, at its most efficient RPM, regardless of how much power actually getting out of the engine. So it just makes it more efficient, and it's nicer for the passengers too, because they just get a constant engine note rather than a variable one. So that's the main difference between this one and the 172, and obviously the extra size and weight. A bigger aeroplane is actually, with a bit more weight, is actually more stable. So once you know how to set it up and you know the power settings and the speeds you want to fly at, once you set that, it'll sort of stay where it is, and the bigger the plane, the easier they should be to fly. Of course, they're going faster, so you've got to think in different numbers and think a bit quicker. Yeah, lovely aeroplane to fly. This very capable, and is great that it can lift 6 adults and some baggage and enough fuel to go somewhere. They've been used for a lot of flying around regional Australia. A really good mix of varieties, great.
Yeah.
But the course I did in Melbourne was good. It was a 3-year course, but that included a degree. So
Yeah,
our
well, that's
course,
sort of, we're just looking at the whole thing, like we just didn't even know where to start, did we?
No,
Really?
no.
And so this was sort of somewhere to start.
Yeah. And you don't need a degree to be a pilot. You certainly don't.
We weren't sure about that.
And I'm not against universities. I did a degree, and I think it's good to have one as a fallback, or for possible progression later in your career into management roles. But to get a start, the 40-week course that we do here, is very practical, and that's in the vet training system, which is sort of well suited to flying training, because that's hands-on, on-the-job style training, like trades. And flying it's a profession, but it's a lot like an apprenticeship the way you learn on the job. I'd certainly recommend our course, and then later on down the track, if you want to do a degree, maybe a business degree or a tourism degree or something like that would be good. Whereas mine was an aviation degree, which there was a lot of overlap in what we were learning in the classroom at the flying school and what was taught at the uni. So it was useful. It went beyond a bit what you learn on the course, but that's probably only really helping me now. We're seeing lower numbers of applications at the moment, but it's still only October. That's for the January course. We've got a few Tasmanians signed up, so that's good. And although the airline industry is going through, and aviation in general is going through a bit of a tough patch, your training is going to take, if you did start you're in year 11 now, so you've got next year and then the following year to do your training. By then, everything would be back up and running. So it's actually, the downturn is a great time to do your training, so you're ready to be employable. Whereas if you say, oh no, I'll just wait until there's jobs available, by the time you complete your training, who knows. So I would say if flying's your goal, you just got to get into it as soon as you can, and it'll work out for you. There we go. So you can see this is a bit different to that one we were just in. This has some tight, this is a bit more cosy, but this is much more of a
utility airplane van, passenger comfort executive. Taken us into Three Punnock Island. There's an airstrip now near Mount Roland called the Vale. So yeah, anywhere that we've got sort of gravel or grass, bush, very short, narrow airstrips, friendly beaches, that's another one.
Come over here, Monty. Just stay there. Tell us all about it. How was the flight?
It was great.
Come a little bit closer, it might be great. And what did you do up there?
We went around in a circle around Hobart. Taught me how to do some flying. Felt some AFGs that made a pen fly. That was fun.
You take the controls?
Yep.
How'd you go?
That was good. It was very good.
And when are you going to start learning?
Hopefully soon.
And 10 days before I shipped out, the doctor called up and had some bad news for me. I was born with something in my blood.